over 120 recordings spanning more than 30 composers, the Broadway landmark West Side Story, 12 million television viewers from a single series, and the music directorship of the New York Philharmonic. Leonard Bernstein held all of this at once, a range no American musician has matched. Yet one question has followed him for decades, against conductors and composers who gave everything to a single craft. Growing up in a middle-class household, Bernstein began piano lessons as a child and quickly showed an aptitude for music. He attended Boston Latin School before enrolling at Harvard University in 1935, where he studied music and graduated cum laude in 1939 with a Bachelor of Arts. While at Harvard, Bernstein conducted student productions, studied composition and orchestration, and built relationships with influential mentors, including Mark Blitzstein and Aaron Copland. His senior thesis, a string quartet, earned him the John C. Gould Prize, supporting his continued studies. In the fall of 1939, Bernstein entered the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia, where he trained under Isabel Vengerova for piano, Fritz Reiner for conducting, and René Longy-Miquel for score reading. He completed his studies at Curtis in 1941, receiving the George W. Griffiths Prize for Best Conducting Student. Before his major debut, Bernstein worked as a pianist-composer in New York, performed with the Boston Symphony Orchestra, and served as an assistant conductor at the New York City Opera. These formative years established a foundation of technical skill, broad musical exposure, and professional readiness. On November 13, 1943, Leonard Bernstein arrived at Carnegie Hall expecting to assist backstage, not to conduct. Hours before the concert, Bruno Walter fell ill, and Bernstein was tapped to lead the New York Philharmonic with no rehearsal. The program featured Brahms's Symphony No. 4 and a work by Aaron Copland. As the doors opened at 7:30 p.m., word spread through the orchestra and audience about the sudden change. At 8 o'clock, Bernstein stepped onto the podium, was introduced by Earl Kelly, and launched into the first movement. His interpretations, marked by bold tempo choices and clear gestures, caught immediate attention. By intermission, the musicians and critics sensed something unusual. The entire performance was broadcast live across the NBC radio network, reaching millions of listeners nationwide. Applause after the final movement turned into a standing ovation. That night, the New York Times called his debut a revelation of youthful vigor and astonishing command. Within days, Bernstein received invitations from major orchestras across the country, and the Philharmonic offered him a contract as its youngest associate conductor. The broadcast transformed him overnight from an unknown assistant into a national figure, setting the stage for a career that would span continents and decades. By the mid-20th century, American classical music was shaped by the rapid expansion of radio technology and the rise of institutional patronage. National networks like NBC and CBS maintained their own orchestras, broadcasting live concerts that reached audiences in the tens of millions each week. The NBC Symphony Orchestra, created for Arturo Toscanini in 1937, and the CBS Symphony Orchestra, among others, performed regular programs funded by commercial sponsors. In 1942, network orchestras operated on annual budgets exceeding $1 million, with corporate contracts supporting musicians, conductors, and production staff. This system offered American conductors a direct path to national prominence, bypassing the lengthy European apprenticeship model that required years in regional theatres and state-funded orchestras. In contrast, the American model relied on broad media exposure and commercial sponsorship, accelerating the careers of figures like Bernstein. The growth of orchestral boards and the integration of broadcast technology created an environment where a single performance could launch a conductor into the national spotlight, fundamentally altering the trajectory of American classical music leadership. By the early 1960s, his contract with the New York Philharmonic contained a specific clause that addressed this dual workload. The agreement limited his conducting, rehearsal, and related obligations to approximately 220 hours per season. This figure, drawn from a 1964 internal memorandum, reflected a conscious effort by both Bernstein and the Philharmonic administration to protect creative time for composition. The contract also included composition blocks, reserving several weeks each year when Bernstein was exempt from podium duties. During these periods, he focused exclusively on writing, with no scheduled rehearsals, performances, or public appearances for the orchestra. This arrangement was unusual among major conductors, who typically logged 300 to 350 hours of rehearsals and concerts per year. Bernstein's mixed-duty cap placed him in a hybrid category, more visible than a specialist composer, but less constantly present than a dedicated maestro. Payroll records and administrative correspondence from the Philharmonic confirm that these hours covered all official responsibilities, including preparation for educational broadcasts and special projects. The structure of Bernstein's contract made it operationally possible to produce major works while still fulfilling the expectations of an international music director. His example influenced later negotiations for artist-directors seeking similar flexibility between creative and performance commitments. Leonard Bernstein's compositional achievements span both the Broadway stage and the Symphony Hall, reflecting an unusual breadth among 20th century American musicians. His most celebrated work, West Side Story, premiered on Broadway in September 1957. The score, blending jazz, Latin rhythms, and classical technique, was praised for its sophistication and energy. The 1961 film adaptation received 10 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, and established the work as a cultural touchstone. Bernstein's symphonic output includes 3 major works, each premiered with the New York Philharmonic under his own direction. Symphony No. 1, Jeremiah, completed in 1942 and premiered in 1944, drew on Hebrew themes and won the New York Music Critics Circle Award. Symphony No. 2, The Age of Anxiety, inspired by W.H. Auden's poem, premiered in 1949 and was noted for its modernist structure and use of solo piano. Symphony No. 3, Kaddish, completed in 1963 and premiered in 1965, set the Jewish prayer for the dead and divided critics with its dramatic narration and choral writing. These flagship compositions demonstrate Bernstein's ability to cross genres, with critical and public responses ranging from immediate acclaim to ongoing debate. The works remain central to American concert programming and continue to be recorded by major orchestras worldwide. During the television era, Leonard Bernstein became a household name through the CBS Young People's Concerts, a series that aired 53 episodes between 1958 and 1972. At its peak, the program reached around 12 million viewers per broadcast, introducing classical repertoire and music theory to a national audience. This unprecedented educational reach set Bernstein apart from most of his contemporaries, who rarely appeared outside the concert hall. The format combined live orchestral performance with direct commentary, making complex musical concepts accessible to children and adults alike. Bernstein's media presence, however, also brought his technical decisions under intense public and critical scrutiny. A notable example occurred during a rehearsal for Mahler's Das Lied von der Erde, where Bernstein insisted on a tempo of 122 beats per minute, significantly faster than traditional interpretations. The episode, later circulated among musicians and critics, sparked debate about his interpretive liberties versus fidelity to composers' intentions. European critics, in particular, sometimes questioned his dramatic gestures and flexible tempos, contrasting them with the more restrained approaches of conductors like Herbert von Karajan or Karl Böhm. Despite such controversies, Bernstein's willingness to experiment and his embrace of television as an educational tool expanded the boundaries of what it meant to be a conductor in the mid-20th century. His ability to reach millions, coupled with his bold interpretive choices, ensured that his influence extended beyond the concert stage and into the broader cultural conversation about classical music. Over 120 commercial recordings bear his name, most released under the Columbia Masterworks label. His discography covers works by more than 30 composers, spanning core symphonic repertoire, American modernists, and his own compositions. Bernstein's catalogue includes complete cycles of Mahler and Beethoven symphonies, definitive renditions of Copland, and landmark recordings of West Side Story. This breadth offers a concrete measure of his technical range and interpretive durability, providing future musicians and listeners with a lasting reference point for evaluating his approach across styles and eras. In 1958, Leonard Bernstein became the first American-born music director of the New York Philharmonic, a post he held for 11 years. His leadership extended beyond the podium, shaping the orchestra's artistic direction and introducing new works into its regular programming. At Tanglewood, Bernstein established a rigorous seminar for young conductors, personally mentoring over 200 students during his tenure. Many of these alumni went on to lead major orchestras worldwide. Bernstein's educational philosophy influenced conservatory curricula across the United States, with elements of his rehearsal style and interpretive approach adopted by music schools and training programs. His institutional legacy endures through the generations of musicians shaped by his direct guidance and the structural changes he brought to American music education. Bernstein's career can be weighed through three evidence-based metrics. First, technical ability as a conductor, including his baton control, tempo choices, and the range of his recordings. Archival rehearsal footage and tempo data from performances like Mahler's Das Lied von der Erde and Stravinsky's Rite of Spring anchor this assessment. Second, composition quality, meaning the ambition and reception of his works, tracked through premiere dates, critical reviews, and citation counts. West Side Story, his symphonies, and Chichester Psalms serve as reference points, their recording history and critical response offering measurable data. Third, cultural influence, the reach of his educational broadcasts, leadership roles, and the ongoing presence of his music in concert halls. Broadcast audience figures, protégés mentored, and the frequency of his repertoire in programming illustrate this impact. Each metric draws from archival records, institutional data, and peer testimony, mapping Bernstein's achievements without imposing a verdict. Bernstein's influence endures in today's concert halls, classrooms, and broadcasts, his reach crossing genres and generations. As orchestras and educators still rely on his innovations, the debate over his rank remains active. In redefining what a conductor-composer can be, Bernstein set a standard that challenges us still. What's your verdict?